I'm sure you've heard of Suzuki's Hayabusa, right? Well, meet its arch nemesis, the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-14R. Although the ZX-14 has been around since 2006, it was after it got a thorough reworking in 2012 that Kawasaki added an R to its name. This was by making it more extreme and absolutely fearsome. Now this is categorized as a sports tourer, but it has just hyper performance on tap. This is one of the fastest production motorcycles in the world, and it has a serious reputation on drag strips. And I witnessed the ZX-14R's immense ability last year at one of India's biggest drag race events. From America, the world drag racing champion Ricky Gadsden was present at the Valley Run, and he was using his favorite machine, a Kawasaki ZX-14R, to scorch the tarmac. There he blitzed the quarter mile with a time of 10 seconds. It's incredibly sad none of my friends own drag strips, and the Pune Airport Authority said they wouldn't clear the flight schedules for us to take the ZX-14R out for a run. So I had no option. So I said, let's check out its sports tourer credentials. Something that the average Joe who would buy a ZX-14R would care about, right? So I decided to hit my favorite stretch of highway, the Mumbai-Pune highway, and see how the ZX-14R would do over there. My day started early. The ZX-14R's strong lights cut a hole through the darkness, and I whizzed through it. It was cold, and I took my time to get to know this Kawasaki. But as the sky changed and the temperature rose, it was time for me to ask the ZX-14R some tough questions. So, what do you expect a 1441cc motor with 207 bhp to feel like on an open road? Now, if you choose to ride on the right side of sensible, then this motorcycle is utterly and completely serene. On the highway, you can be cruising at 140 kilometers an hour in 6th gear, and you'll still have more than half the RPM range still on offer. But that isn't the only reason for this 4-cylinder motor's tranquility. Now the motor also impresses with its refinement. You could be hitting the 11,000 RPM limiter, but you won't find the motor to be rough or coarse. It just feels smooth all the way there. So if you demand more performance from the ZX-14R, just be aware that you are likely to run out of courage way before the Kawasaki runs out of juice. It'll never take more than a couple of thousand revs or a few milliseconds to scare you. You see, the torque is monumental. 16.6 kilograms, which peaks out at 7,500 RPM. Although it gets downright vicious well before that. You don't have to look down, you just know when you've hit the 4,000 RPM mark because the performance just goes ballistic. The way the ZX-14R pulls ahead is frankly a bit frightening. You see, the ZX-14R can go from 0 to 100 in less than 3 seconds. 160 is dispatched in less than 5, and 200 takes less than 8 seconds. Top speed is electronically controlled to 299 kilometers an hour. While the engine's whopping punch is beastly, the aerodynamic design also helps the ZX-14R reach its outstanding targets. Considering the speeds and rapidity with which it gets there, a 1480mm wheelbase and an extra long swing arm make complete sense. The highway is clearly the ZX-14R's home. Even when it's flying at triple-digit speeds, it's just so composed. But remember to keep a lookout for petrol pumps. When ridden at speed, this motorcycle can guzzle 95 octane from its tank. After tearing down the straight stretches, what next? Obviously hitting the ghats and finding some nice winding roads. What you want. While its XL proportions give the ZX-14R ergonomics which make it comfortable on long rides, Kawasaki also had to ensure that this big and brutal motorcycle could step gingerly around corners. To do so, Kawasaki has used some really high-tech designs. How's this for high-tech? This motorcycle uses a monocoque frame. The monocoque chassis helps scrape off weight and mass. Grip is clearly available in plenty from the Bridgestones. The ZX-14R doesn't feel unwieldy through corners, but you can't help but wish for less. When you're riding fast on twisty roads, there's no escaping the fact that this is a big and heavy motorcycle. This Kawasaki's 268 kilos of curb weight is responsible for its stability, but in the twisty bits and while braking, it is quite apparent. Thankfully, the 310mm Nissan brakes can haul this massive bike down quickly, and thanks to the ABS, safely. In the saddle, the kilometers just seem to fly past. Now what happened next isn't something most ZX-14R owners would do, but I decided to go off the beaten path. Quite literally, I decided to head off the highway and onto a stretch of B road that I love. It was narrow, but I didn't regret the decision. Here's why. Once I recalibrated my right wrist, I enjoyed riding on these narrow country roads too. The bumpy tarmac looked uncomfortable, but the Kawasaki softened the blow. Now just look at this seat. Wide, it's really cushy, the suspension is really pliant, so even over our kharbad roads, this motorcycle is really comfortable to be on. The front upside-down forks, as expected, are fully adjustable, and so is the linked monoshock and the rear. So you needn't worry too much about road surface, whether it's B roads or the city. In fact, we even checked the ZX-14R in the urban environment. The high-performance motor wasn't flustered by the back traffic. Keeping pace with traffic in the city isn't really a problem either. The motor has enough torque to offer just off idle, and the clutch feels nice, it's not overly heavy. So in the city, the only problem for you would be the motorcycle's size. So while the ZX-14R may not have the iconic status of the Hayabusa, it feels like the better, more modern and more enjoyable machine. Kawasaki's Ninja ZX-14R isn't for everyone. It's big and it's got brutal performance on tap. And that's exactly why some people will love it. And if you do like that kind of a motorcycle, this is an incredibly accomplished one. As we saw today, it can shrink distances while keeping you comfortable. It has flexible performance as well on tap, and it's got a suite of electronics to make it easier for you. And on top of that, it looks fantastic. So if it's ticked all the right boxes for you, the only thing left to figure out is whether you've got the 17 lakh rupees to spare or not.